Should be loading up.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah, very good. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Decentralized Masters podcast, your go-to source for everything in decentralized finance. My name is Tristan, and I am here with my co-host today, Jon. We're here to guide you through the ever-changing world of DeFi, one strategy at a time. Every week, right here on the Decentralized Masters YouTube channel, we go live at 2 p.m. Eastern Time to bring you the latest insights, updates, and tools to help you in the DeFi space. So, how's it going, Jon?
Doing pretty good, man. How about yourself? Market definitely looks a lot better than it has these last couple of weeks, right?
Not too bad. If you could go back a few months, then anything looks better than how it's been. Yeah, it was rough.
How about yourself? How have you been?
Good. I'm I'm quite the big Solana Sui guy. So at the moment, things are good for me. So I think I'm pretty happy right now with the market. Don't let your emotions dictate how you feel, but always a little bit of a bump in life when
100%. I agree
things
with
looking
you.
better.
I mean, we're kind of seeing the correction that we talked about, that we were possibly going to be seeing yesterday in our private community. So it's always good to go ahead and kind of take a step back, watch the market, don't get too aggressive. I did throw in a couple $100. Today I deposited a little bit more money into my stockbroker account, but there's a lot of opportunities on the table, man. Have you done any of that lately yourself? Any purchasing?
I dabbled actually a little bit of money into another new project. I'm always coming up with these fancy new projects coming out. So I did get into something that I'll talk a little bit about today. Nothing too crazy though, just a few $100, but it is quite interesting. So
Nice, definitely looking
stay
forward to that.
tuned. Stay tuned.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and quickly just run through the market. To be completely honest, there really isn't much, regardless of the fact. The biggest thing, the biggest catalyst that really pushed the market was Trump saying that, 145% or whatever that percentage was on tariffs was going to be cut down, which had the market become very, very bullish, literally almost instantly as soon as that was said. We saw a pretty good rally these last couple of days. If we go ahead and take a look at the weekly on crypto bubbles, we do see all across the board at least a minimum of anywhere between 20 to 50% pump on a lot of these tokens. Going on the daily right now, which is currently today a little bit more to neutral. We'll see how the market closes today. Hopefully, some good news in the stock market definitely does pump up the market a little bit. But so far, not much. It looks like a lot of the cool down is now coming in. A lot of profit taking from the last pump that we had these last couple of days. As far as the hourly for crypto bubbles as well, as I mentioned, a little bit more selling, more neutral, not that much buying power, or should I say, buying volume, due to the fact that now the market's correcting in a healthy way, right? Now the question is, how far would we actually correct? Is this the actual bottom, or are we going to continue to fall down even further? And I think that's what everyone's really waiting for. That's the actual real answer. Is this sustainable? And I think that's what we should be seeing in the next coming days. I feel very positive about the market, to be completely honest. I saw the charts a little bit yesterday, and the market overall looks pretty good. It looks a lot better than it has been since December. In my opinion, the market looks way better. What are your opinions on that so far, Tristan?
Yeah, no, obviously, yeah, it looks great compared to where it was. But yeah, that's the debate right now. It's all over crypto Twitter. Was this just a short squeeze? Is there anything actually holding us up at this level? Is Trump going to say one negative comment that will, send the stock market down, and are we going to go down with it? Have we officially decoupled from the Nasdaq? and stock market movements. Hard to say. I have my fingers crossed that Bitcoin is finally getting the gold treatment, meaning people are starting to see Bitcoin more as something more similar to gold. As you could say.
Hedge against inflation, if you
A
want to call
hedge,
it
a
like
hedge
a
against
hedge.
inflation, yeah, but also a hedge just against the current financial system. Just something that you could, that people are worried about the strength of the dollar right now, so they're just looking for other options. Gold has been the place that everyone has been running to, but not Bitcoin as much yet.
Yeah, that is correct. I think the narrative is going to change over time. I think as we always know, the market always overly reacts aggressively in situations like this. I mean, to be completely honest, we haven't really been in a position like this where we have someone in office who's really aggressive with what they say, and can literally move the market in directions in literally seconds. And I think that's what, as you just mentioned, a lot of people fear, just due to the fact, like, is there going to be more positive things being said or something negative? I think, in my opinion, I've been saying, and I believe you also agree, these last couple months, it's been an overreaction to the market. Like, you should be happy that the market's down. Like, I know the portfolio hurts. I'm down. I'm sure Tristan's down as well. I mean, we've had some pretty big things happen. OM happened like 2 weeks ago. So we're all down, right? We're all down. So I definitely feel the pain there. But if you really go ahead and take a step back, these are levels that the market is back before it ran up during the election. And a lot of you that are maybe now entering the crypto market or even the stock market, this could be potentially, and I say potentially because I don't know, maybe it goes down further. But from a long-term period time frame, if we're talking about like 10, 20 years from now, we know that crypto is going to go up. We know Bitcoin's going to go up. We know there's going to be a few altcoins that are going to continue to go up, but you can't go wrong with holding on to Bitcoin, right? I feel like last cycles, there was always that speculation that one day cryptocurrencies will become this one big thing where like everyone is like happy, everyone's embracing this cryptocurrency and this technology. And that was a dream years ago, right? This is everything that we dreamed for years ago, and now we have it. So I think we also need to take a step back into reality and kind of see where we have come. We've come along a very long way. A lot of things that I never thought I would have seen. I mean, the fact that the US president has launched meme coins, NFTs, DeFi platforms, stable coins, like, it's insane. It almost feels like I am in a simulation every time I wake up because it
You
almost
are in a
feels so
simulation.
unreal, you know? Am I right? Doesn't it feel so unreal how like so many
it's
things are
so
so positive?
strange.
It's
Yeah.
so strange, right? It's like it's
Yeah.
going to become the norm maybe in the next, I think easily cryptocurrencies or at least a blockchain technology will become the norm at least in the next 6 years plus. Like, it's going to be so normal, and it's going to be integrated into our everyday lives that it's going to be very difficult for us to even know that we're using blockchain technology. And that's the whole point of why what we're seeing right now in this space, and why now the fact that we have someone that embraces a blockchain technology is very positive, because all of that technology is also going to produce new companies to come out, new startups, more hires, employment, going to do very well. So there's a lot of, I think, opportunities in blockchain, in crypto alone, not just NFTs, not just cryptocurrencies, but even just the technology itself. It's such a brand new space that almost anyone could come in with an idea and possibly also pitch it to everyone because of how new we are in this space. There's a lot of, let's be honest, there's a lot of flaws, right, Tristan? There's a lot of flaws in
Yeah.
this space, but that also means there's a lot of opportunities.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's just the
Um,
mindset that people have in crypto too. Everyone kind of you get into this and everyone's kind of an entrepreneur. Everyone who's getting into crypto, whether they're, they have a background in being a developer or if they're a background in finance, you can have a background in being like, I don't know, like a construction worker, and people come into this feeling like entrepreneurs. So it's always very exciting.
Yeah, 100%. I think also too, like, the biggest thing that we're seeing here, the momentum shift in the overall market, as I mentioned, is the opportunities that we have very similar to what we once saw in the stock market, right? Like the chance when people had the chance to buy Apple. I mean, Apple at one point was a penny stock, basically, and there was flyers trying to get people to buy the stock. And look at where Apple is today. And I'm sure a lot of you might have missed that opportunity um, when you guys were starting up your career early on. Amazon too as well. So, in our generation, Tristan, we definitely missed those. I mean, we weren't really too around that time, which gives us the opportunity now with these cryptocurrencies, right? But for those that were around, this is your time to start dabbling into the new technology. Right now, as we're seeing with the fear and greed chart, we quickly moved on to greed. We're currently at level of greed now. Yesterday, we were also in greed, but keep in mind the last week and last month, we were in fear. And we've actually been in fear for the I would say last few weeks, literally last couple months. It's been nothing but a lot of shakiness in the market all across the board. Um, I did mention just be very cautious with what we're seeing in the market. We still have to have this full on confirmation. We'll look a little bit more into the charts, but I'm sure Tristan has a lot of other things to share. But the next thing I'm going to go into right now is going to be Trump's team once again is not looking to, they've actually partnered with crypto.com to make these ETFs, which are going to be called Made in America ETFs, right? So I'm assuming these are all going to be cryptocurrencies that are in the US. I'm assuming, right, Tristan? Am I correct on that? That would be my only guess. So we're seeing that also his team is getting aggressively into crypto. We've been talking about this. This is not new news. This is literally recycled content at this point because this is what's being pushed right now at the moment. But this has been going around for, I would say, almost a month, and people didn't really care about it, right? When the market's down, no one cares about this. But really big news. We're going to see how things go right there with crypto.com. How do you feel about this, Tristan? Do you think this is definitely a good way for retail investors that are, not familiar with DeFi, a good way to invest through ETFs?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, my own mother, for example, she's not very tech savvy. Bless her heart, love her very much. But I don't. She's older and she isn't going to get into her own wallet. It's better not to be part of the exchanges even. But she has a brokerage account and she's comfortable with that. So we did buy one of the Canadian Bitcoin ETFs that have been around for a while, and that is the next best thing. Not your keys, not your cryptos. So technically, that's not true Bitcoin, but better than nothing.
Exactly, 100%. I mean, it goes with the same thing with gold. If you're buying gold in the stock market, it's almost the same thing, right? It's like literally just paper gold that you have. So I think with the ETFs, it definitely does bring in a lot of retail interest. I mean, it's a lot easier, just like you said, for a parent, for a friend to just go on to their broker, call them up, and even be like, hey, I want to be exposed to Bitcoin. They can now have that exposure into their retirement fund, 401k, Roth IRA, whatever the case is. And that's where the beauty comes in with cryptocurrencies. Like, even though for me personally, I believe more in the crypto market, I don't think it hurts to be exposed to both the stock and the crypto market, right? Because honestly, a lot of my portfolio on the stock market right now is mostly stocks that are related to crypto, whether it's crypto mining companies, whether it's like Coinbase. I really believe a lot with these companies. And I think now that we have regulation in our favor, this is definitely going to make things a lot easier for a lot of companies that are already based in the US, but most specifically companies that are looking to now do business, right? Because the US hasn't really been a friendly country when it comes to doing business specifically in crypto, right? So it's definitely going to go ahead. I am expecting a lot of companies probably they're going to be going public soon. We know that Kraken's going to be going soon public in the next coming year. They've also introduced stocks. So I think moving forward, we're going to see a whole different wave when it comes to finance overall as a whole, when it comes to investment tools, opportunities, and also now brokers coming in trying to eat up that liquidity. What do you think about that, Tristan?
I'm actually quite surprised that we don't have an ETF for crypto companies yet. Meaning, you'll have an ETF for Bitcoin, you have ETFs for Ethereum, Solana ones are coming, but we don't have maybe I'm wrong, maybe I just haven't seen it, but we don't have like an ETF out there that has like the mining companies in it,
We
or
don't.
like a combination of mining companies, a combination of Coinbase stock in there. You don't have any of the new, like there's a lot of soul strategies, for example. That company's been in the news a bit. That's like a micro strategy, but for Solana. So there's
Really?
a few of these, a few of these different companies out there like this. But I'm curious is why hasn't anyone from like BlackRock or like iShares have come up and said, why don't we just pool these things together? And that would probably give us a really good almost leverage play on the entire crypto market.
Yeah,
So if
100%.
anyone's watching from BlackRock, giving you ideas here.
Yeah, 100%. I think the biggest thing right now too is that I think the only exchange that I know of that's like really heavy into crypto that's publicly traded is Coinbase. I'm not sure if Gemini is. I could be wrong, but all I know of is Coinbase, that it's a US based company, right? So I think as more exchanges start to come in and they start going public, I think we could go ahead and see that in the future where they could go ahead and do that. I mean, it would make the most sense, right? It'd definitely be like a super leverage ETF, basically, if you think about it.
Yeah. It's like the gold miners ETF. Like you put a bunch of junior gold mining stocks in a portfolio and say, well, good luck.
Yeah,
Sometimes it
man.
does good, sometimes not so much.
Yeah, but I think the biggest thing too that we got to keep in mind with the ETFs, this is going to give a lot of opportunities for financial advisors. Now you might be able to go to your local bank, your traditional corporate bank, Wells Fargo, Chase, ask your advisor to be exposed to Bitcoin, and they'll be able to expose you, right? And I think that's where we also got to keep in mind that's where a lot of money and a lot of liquid is going to start getting poured into just that side of the ETFs. To you and I, Tristan's not really too exciting. I feel like ETFs, I mean, doesn't really do much for us. I mean, we're pretty deep in this space, so I don't think ETFs. I would say we find them too much of value, but I do understand if I was coming in with like a newbie mindset. I do not want to learn DeFi. I do not want to learn crypto, and I just want to be exposed to it, then yeah, an ETF would be probably the best way to have exposure to it. And that's where I believe the value comes in. The next thing I want to talk about is, believe it or not, Trump went ahead once again. He's been in the news lately. We also got to keep in mind he is our president in the US. I forgot about that. But yeah, so Trump's meme coin, he went ahead and basically promised that the top 200 holders, he will be flying them out, giving them a tour in the White House, having dinner, playing golf. Sounds really cool. Sounds really fun. You do have to be a top holder of his token. His token is currently at over 2 billion market cap. So in order to be a top holder, you have to have millions of dollars in his token. After he announced that, about a 60% pump happened to the token. So that's why we've been seeing a lot of excitement with the Trump token. I'll keep my eyes on that very closely because I think it could be a trading opportunity. But I think where the levels are at right now, anything below $20, not financial advice, could be a pretty good opportunity to consider looking at. If we quickly go ahead and pull out a chart, and I'm not going to spend too much time on it because I wasn't thinking of talking about his meme coin, just because it's super, super, super risky, right? So, but I do know that the token is listed in most exchanges. Most people are probably going to buy it anyway, so might as well just give you kind of an outlook to consider. But yeah, Trump's token's at a 2.3 billion market cap. Anything below $20, in my opinion, not financial advice, I think could be a good buy. If we actually go ahead and measure where we're at right now with this token, we're still down over an 80% at least minimum. I don't know how high his token went. I can't recall. But it's at least almost 80% down. So if you were to buy around these ranges right here, and let's say we approach previous all-time highs, you're looking at around roughly anywhere between a 3 to 4x. depending, of course, where you buy, where your average is. Now, keep in mind, I think there could be a high probability we might also even see it go further than that. I think this token could go as high as over $100. I'm not sure what its all-time high is. Maybe I'm wrong and I'm a little late to that. But no, it doesn't look like it. It looks like its all-time high was around 60. Do you know if it hit $100, man?
No, I don't think so. It went into I think it was like a $6 billion market cap or something when it hit the highest though, which
Okay,
is
so that's
more than
roughly
double
around
from
that
here.
$60. Yeah, $60 per coin. So I think in the long run, as we start seeing a little bit more excitement in the market, more momentum come in, we could go ahead and see this token go as high as $100. I think, in my opinion, it's very, very doable. There's a lot of liquidity in this token, very good market cap. There's actually a lot of good DeFi opportunity pools too. If you actually go over to radium.io, I know there's a few students that have been dabbling into some of those pools. But this one right here, as you see right here, sold Trump. This one right now is offering 543% on the 24-hour APR. Yesterday was roughly around 900%. But keep in mind, the most important when it comes to liquidity pools is the volume. And look at this volume, $17 million in volume. This is insane. So this token's doing very, very well as far as volume. So pretty interesting pool to go ahead and take a look at. If that is some sort of exposure you want to have to the token, maybe take a look at that pool, see how that goes. But also keep in mind, Solana on its own, it's very, very volatile. So even with the meme coin and getting into a pool, you could make some really good returns, but it's something you have to monitor very, very closely, right? So just a heads up on that. What are your thoughts about this, Tristan? Have you been seeing anyone get into this pool, or have you dabbled into it yourself?
Yeah, actually, John, I'm dusting off my passport, putting my suit on, as I'm actually secretly one of the largest Trump coin holders. So I will be attending the dinner. You will see me on the news. I will be flashing my Trump coin wallet on my phone proudly. And jokes, people. I don't mess with the meme coins much. But this pool is good. The worst case scenario there is you get knocked out and you hold more Trump tokens, and if you believe in the Trump token long term, then you're probably okay. And then, or you get knocked out on the upside and you have some Solana, which is also not that big of a deal.
Not bad,
Because
yep.
I'm I have quite bullish on Solana as well.
Yeah, if you like volatility, this could be a pool to consider. Just a little heads up on that. But on to the next news. CME Group went ahead and announced that they're going to be doing futures for XRP. So I did a little bit of research of what CME Group is. I've always heard about them, but I never really understood what they were. They're basically like an institution where they go ahead and provide services and products to their customers. But yeah, they went ahead and put in that request. It looks like they successfully went ahead and did a Solana futures back in March. So there's a high probability XRP is also going to get approved on futures, which we talked a little bit about this, Tristan, yesterday, how Mexi Global went ahead and introduced 500x. And I've even heard that some exchanges have 1,000x leverage. For all of you that might be wondering why we see these huge corrections, upsides, downsides in the market, is due to leverage. We got to think leverage, short squeezes is what we see commonly happen in the space. But yeah, what are your thoughts about this, man? XRP with futures now.
I think in general, having futures for XRP is probably actually a good thing, just because of how illiquid the token is just on its own. I got to buy and sell XRP, and it's just through the token is becomes a bit of a hassle. You got have a little bit of gas fees in there, but having the futures does make it more easy. It will make the price more liquid. As for the leverage, probably not a great idea. Especially at 1,000x leverage. I've tried 40x leverage using on Hyperliquid before, and that was a lot for me. So I couldn't even imagine 100 to 1,000x leverage would be. That'd be like liquidations every minute.
Yeah, I don't even know if that's even human possibly to be traded. You have to be very, very quick on execution. But I tend to find that like anything above 20, it's way too risky. It's a very, very volatile when it comes to playing leverage. But I think anything under 20, in my opinion, you could do pretty good as long as this market is going in your favor. 20 is not too bad to handle. 10, of course, I think is also really good. But I would say, in my opinion, based on playing with leverage several times and trying different kinds, I would say 20 is usually the sweet spot. Between 15, 20 is like the max you want to go to. Preferably, of course, the less you do, the better, because the lower the liquidation is for you. The more leverage you use, the higher the liquidation is for you. So it's quicker for you to get liquidated. So that's one of the biggest things you got to keep in mind. But yeah, that's the biggest thing that's going on with CME Group. The last thing I want to go ahead and talk about before I pass it on to Tristan, I'm sure he has a lot of good stuff to talk about today, is USD1. We talked a little bit about this with our private community. So USD1 is actually Trump's stablecoin. Once again, they went ahead and finally went live about 8 days ago. They provided liquidity. This token now has a cap of 127 million, $43 million in 24-hour volume at the moment. We have seen an increase of over 100% in volume in these last couple of days, where most of the liquidity is currently on Binance Smart Chain, which is located on PancakeSwap. We've talked a little bit about this a few months ago, how Trump's team was in discussions with Binance and in a potential partnership or them buying out Binance US. And I think this is also a discussion they might have had. I think Binance, if I'm not mistaken, this is just a rumor I'm expecting. I wouldn't be surprised if Binance is the first exchange to list USD1. And for all of those that might not know, Binance is the number one exchange when it comes to crypto. And almost every token wishes to, like, it's a dream to get listed on Binance Exchange because they know they're going to get a lot of volume and a lot of activity, right? Unfortunately, in the US, you can't use Binance except for Binance US. But I'm sure now we could be seeing some changes, especially if we do see some sort of partnership between them. But hopefully we see some stablecoin returns, some really good stablecoin returns, some pools. That's what I'm expecting. This token is on two blockchains, which is Ethereum and Binance Smart Chain. So you could actually go ahead and purchase this now. What is the user case behind it? I mean, it's just a stable coin. It's supposed to be backed by cash reserves and probably bonds and other U.S. cash things, maybe property. I'm not too sure. It just says cash related things. So, but mostly reserves is going to be backed by maybe gold. It would have been good if they did gold. But yeah, there's not much going on with this token besides the fact that they provide liquidity. Hasn't been publicly announced, and we'll see where things go moving forward. But what are your thoughts about this, man? Like, are you going to, once we start seeing opportunities on this token, are you going to consider dabbling into a pool with USD1? I mean, we've been seeing a lot of stable coins lately.
Yeah, tons of stable coins lately. And as long as they can actually prove their reserves, and we don't see a similar FD, like how we were dealing with that FDUSD decoupling last week or the week before that. As long as they have their reserves, they're proven, and then I might jump in a stable coin pool if I see USD1, as long as it has a decent return, of course.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. Completely agree. We're going to quickly look into the charts real quick, and then I forgot to look into the charts with you guys. So let's just take a look at this real quick, and then I'll pass it on to Tristan. But as we see right here with Bitcoin, let me just clean up my chart real quick before I do anything. So let me just clean this up. I like to usually start off with kind of a fresh chart when I talk about this. I have this tendency to just scribble all over my chart. Alrighty, so it's looking a lot better. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we're looking at right here. We do see that Bitcoin, of course, is now experiencing this resistance. This is a very tough area for us to break. So we definitely do want to go ahead and see Bitcoin break towards this. Now, because we saw this massive pump, definitely a correction is a healthy thing to do. So if we were to go ahead and see a correction, we could go ahead and see Bitcoin probably come back and test $88,000 and then try to reattempt that breakout, and hopefully that breakout happens. This would be, I guess, if you want to call it the worst case scenario. The best case scenario would be we just literally pump tomorrow in the next coming days. Tomorrow is Friday. Snap! Tomorrow's Friday. I didn't know. So tomorrow's Friday. So we'll see how the market ends tomorrow. But right now, Bitcoin, I would highly recommend all of you write this down. The key areas you want to take a look at Bitcoin is between this $94,000 to $100,000 range. This is the area we need to break. Everything else realistically doesn't really matter. Like, this is the key area we need to break. Like, yes, we made some improvements here and some progress, but really the key area that I've been talking about for months has been this zone right here, 95 to 100. It just has a tendency to always get rejected. We've seen it multiple times. We've seen it right here back in February. We also saw it around this zone right here back in January. It kind of acts like a resistance. It's not a really strong support. So it is a very strong area of resistance where there's a lot of selling pressure. We also saw this back right here in February. Bitcoin went all the way down to 70 something thousand dollars and then touched 95 and got rejected and fell. So key area is breaking above $95,000. And best believe once we see that breakout, our next key area is going to be 109. And that breakout after 109, we're going to see $120,000 in no time for Bitcoin. So market overall is looking pretty positive. If we take a look at the NASDAQ right here, we see that now the NASDAQ today is kind of slightly catching up to Bitcoin. Bitcoin actually was a leading indicator this time as opposed to usually the NASDAQ. So Bitcoin kind of did its move before everything else did. But yeah, all across the range, in my opinion, market's looking very positive. We just want to go ahead and see these ranges being held. I opened up a very small couple positions, nothing too aggressive just yet, just added a little bit to the dip. We talked about this possible breakout, Tristan and I, last week of this inverse head and shoulders pattern, which actually happened with the breakout. Now, the question is, will it be able to hold? And that's all we're waiting for. So key area, 95, $100,000 is what we need to break. But all across the board, I'm not going to touch up too much on the market because that's really all there is to talk. Everything's looking good. Now, the question is, will tomorrow be positive in the next coming week? So if we finish strong tomorrow, and we finish on the green, expect a really nice rally coming in Monday. And we finish on the red, expect probably a few days of corrections until the mid of the week in order for this to come back up in action. But so far, $95,000 to $100,000 is where I'm going to start getting aggressive in the market. So that's what I'm doing personally. What are you doing with this, Tristan? Are you buying a little bit? Or are you holding off still?
The DCA never ends, John.
That's
the Bitcoin, the Bitcoin dollar cost average never ends.
Well, what about your altcoins?
Solana and Sui, I did add to them, and that has been playing out very well, especially on Sui. Sui's killing it. But yeah, for Bitcoin, the dollar cost average, it just never ends.
Yeah, Bitcoin, you could never go wrong with buying. It doesn't matter really where you're buying because long term it's always going to go up. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I have to share personally. Like I said, FOMC meeting is also coming up in May, so we'll see where things go from there. But yeah, I'm excited to go ahead and see what you have for us, Tristan.
All right. Yeah, no, I'll touch on the Fed news in a second here. Of course, it logs me out. Why? Just as I begin to present, my Google logs me out. Are you kidding me?
Don't tell me it logged you out. I think it says something about 2FA.
You signed it to me too.
Holy
moly! Are you serious? Oh my god!
You're gonna have to turn on 2FA. If you want, I could take over for a minute.
Take over.
Go ahead and handle that.
Yeah. Let me figure out what it's going on here.
Go over to your settings. So like once you go to your Google accounts, if you're going to go ahead and view the products, go over to settings. I'm going to enable two-factor authenticator. It might be your phone or something else.
Gotcha. Yeah, I see it.
But yeah, guys, let's go ahead and share my screen one more time. as we wait for Tristan to get his PowerPoint going. But as we see with Bitcoin, as we were talking, we need to see this area to at least be held around this around the zone between $88,000. Realistically, we could go as low as even 83, but ideally we want to stay between $86,000 to $88,000 for this next area of support if we do come down. But Bitcoin's looking really good. Another one that's looking really, really positive lately has been Ethereum. Ethereum has been also showing a lot of strength. But once again, for Ethereum, the key areas you want to focus on breaking is this $2,200. Once we see this breakout with $2,200, the confirmation will now be made that the bottom for Ethereum is now in. Of course, Bitcoin is going to be the leading token here when it comes to everything else crypto, but Ethereum is also looking very nice. If you were considering to buy Ethereum, now could be the chance if we do continue with this rally going up, right? Because once we see this rally going up, I don't think after we break past $2,200, we might not see anything lower again. So let's go ahead and see what happens with Ethereum. But one thing I do want to go ahead and point out is also the dollar. The dollar has actually been falling down quite a bit, which is really good. We were talking about this back in February and March. I said how it would be really nice if the dollar could come down to these $100 zones, and it actually fell as low as 97. So the dollar has been weakening, and this administration has made it clear that that's what they want. They want a weaker dollar. So now we're going to see if we can get rate cuts. I mean, that's the biggest thing. The next Fed meeting we have is going to be May. There's over a 50% chance that we're not going to go ahead and get rate cuts. I don't think so either, personally. I do think that we could be potentially seeing some sort of rate cuts coming in June and July, because that's the next meeting after May. So June and July could be a little bit of a hope that we could have for potential rate cuts happening. So definitely still optimistic about that, but overall, a lot of opportunities seem to be available at the moment right now. It kind of reminds me of literally the pandemic. Like, I remember as soon as the pandemic happened, market crashed a lot. And then coming in the summer of, I'll actually point it out to all of you. I'll actually tell you exactly where I remember in the stock market, I started buying aggressively, and it played and it paid out very well. This is a chart, NEO, which is Chinese Tesla, basically. And there's a lot of other stocks. If you guys remember last cycle, you guys are probably aware of this, but I just kind of want to put it into perspective. This was during the time that the pandemic happened. And as you see, as we're ending, what is it, April, going into summer, we do see that a lot of stocks, and this is just one of the charts. I'm not going to go ahead and pull out multiple stocks. You could go ahead and do that if you don't believe me. But if we go right here with NEO, this is exactly like I started purchasing this stock at around June or July. And that was literally like as soon as the market was ripping, like as soon as summer started and it was about to end, the market started to take off. So if you actually go ahead and look at where this really started to take off, it was around towards June. And really where things started to ramp up was between July and then August. And that's a pretty common thing to go ahead and see in the market that we usually start to see now fall start to do very, very well. So I've been saying these last couple months that I believe that we could be seeing a very similar thing happen where we have fall coming in, and then we're going to see a nice little pump leading into Q4. So I think towards between Q3, Q4 is when we're going to be seeing that rally once again in the market. And we actually saw, I could show you something very similar that I believe could be happening. And maybe it could happen a lot sooner, right? With SUI. So we actually go back over here with SUI. SUI began to take off at around October of of last year. So this was around 37 cents. And as soon as SUI bottomed out, this is where we saw the overall reversal for the whole entire market, right? So I'm expecting us to have a very similar thing going on. Now, there is something very important I actually do want to share with all of you that I can't believe I almost forgot. Let me see if I could go ahead and pull it up. But there's this chart. I'll go ahead and kind of explain it to you. There's this chart that shows Bitcoin, what it has done for prior markets and where we're currently at. So let me go ahead and try to see if I could pull it out. I had it somewhere in here. And of course, just like always, things don't tend to go your way all the time. So let me go ahead and see. Give me 1 second as I try to pull out this chart that I had for you guys. It's not really a chart. It's more of a picture, if you want to call it. So let me go ahead and stop sharing my screen and reshare it. How are things going on with you right now, Tristan?
Not great.
You're locked out, I'm assuming?
I am locked out. Apparently, I need to talk to our admin. And I tried to reset
Yeah.
settings, and now I've moved on to my desktop computer for the camera for some reason. So, anyways, another good day in crypto.
Everything's good, man. Everything good. Things happen. But as you see right here, it's very difficult to see. I wish I was able to show you guys a little bit more. But just to go ahead and keep it very simple, this is where Bitcoin is currently at right now at the moment, let's say. It was actually around right here exactly. And this chart right here is back in, I believe it was 2023 or some other chart. There's a few years. I can't really see because it's so small. So I would have to super zoom in. Maybe I could zoom in. Let's see if I can zoom in. Oh, yeah, that works. There you go. Forgot about this feature. So that's a lot better. I'm sure all of you guys can see that a lot better. So this is where Bitcoin is currently at right here. And this is where Bitcoin was back in 2024, where Bitcoin was between this $29,000 range. And then we saw Bitcoin blast off all the way to those very high levels. We also see a very similar structure that we saw right here back in November of 2023. Where Bitcoin had one last dump and then the market just went parabolic. We also had this same structure right here back in 2020, where Bitcoin had a very similar structure to what we're looking at right now. There's a period where the market kind of slowly cools down, corrects a bit, and then the market goes parabolic. So I think there could be one more correction left. So just be prepared for that mentally more. Also be prepared with some cash to the side. But I do think that the end of this craziness happening in the market, meaning this volatility, I think it's almost close to an end. So I do believe we should be seeing things reverse very, very soon. I do not want to put a time frame to it, but if I had to, I would say we should definitely start seeing the market move in our direction as we were expecting. I would say towards like the beginning of fall, right? So very similar to what we saw last year and the previous last couple years as well. As you see, if you look at this chart right here, it's actually always around fall that the market takes off for whatever reason. It's like towards the end of summer going into fall. So maybe this time we have the market pump a little bit sooner. But I do think that in the next coming months, guys, this is going to be a really fun time in the market. I'm excited. And I think that things are looking a lot more positive than they have been in the last couple of months. Were you able to get it situated, Tristan?
No, we're gonna give up on it. But I was gonna say, what is gold? It's my Google account's all messed up. But I was gonna say, how is gold doing?
Well, let's
Because
go
I
ahead and
know
take a look.
we hit an all-time high last few days here, but I think we came off a bit.
So let's go ahead and pull out gold right here. So gold is currently at around $3,300. Looks like it's going to try to climb back up, but it topped at around 35.
Nice. Because I remember what I was going to say in my presentation. I was just like, keep an eye on gold. It looks a bit like a meme coin chart at the moment.
It does.
Almost parabolic. But that's because I do think we're going through a repricing at the moment. Anything that is priced in US dollars, so that's stocks, Bitcoin, gold itself, all these other commodities that are priced in the dollar are going to reprice. And I think gold is the first thing to do that. At the moment, we're at that 3,300 kind of range. But we could definitely see up to $5,000 an ounce gold going forward, especially if the mission of the Trump administration continues to be the weakening of the US dollar, because they want to make US businesses and US products more competitive in a global world, in the global economic world. So I'm very bullish gold long term. Here, probably wouldn't be buying it, not in big chunks at least. Maybe more in a DCA kind of style, but still quite bullish on that. And if I was saying the two ways, so you've heard me harp on about this in the podcast before, but two ways that you want to get exposure in gold if you want to do it through crypto is you can use PAXG, so PAXG. That token is pegged on a one-to-one basis with the 1 ounce of gold. John's pulling it up right here.
You could actually also redeem it for real gold.
Exactly. So they have like a vault in New York, and when you have a certain amount of PAXG tokens, you could actually go over to Paxos Vault and redeem that for actual, physical gold. So Paxos Gold is a really good way to have exposure to gold. Another good one was XAUT, which
you want to share your screen, or do you want me to just put it up?
Let me see if I can get it, because I did a full reset and nothing is showing up. But let me see. No, I got it. Yeah, perfect. So let's see here. So here is XAUT. You guys can see that. This is actually Tether's stablecoin, or as you know, USDT. This is their version of Paxos. Also priced to 1 ounce of gold. Same price, $3,345 per ounce. This is a good way to get exposure to gold as well. These are the two main gold tokens in crypto that I would really go to if I was, shooting for that diversification. There was also an interesting liquidity pool that I had found that was XAUT and USDT. That was on. I'm trying to remember what site it was on. I think it was on Curve. Yes. Good. You guys are looking at that. Yeah. So there was this one here. This one was XAUT and PAXG in a liquidity pool. This didn't have that super high yield that I was looking for. I actually saved it somewhere, but yeah, I saved it on my PowerPoint that I don't have access to. But you got 4% yield on this one here. So there's actually different options to get yield on gold. And for all those who are watching who are not in the United States, there is a popular platform centralized exchange called Nexo, where you can actually, it's very similar to Coinbase or Kraken, but part of their business is they have savings rates, or if you can, it's almost like staking, I guess. You can put up or save your PAXG and actually earn 6% on it. So you get 4% if you just get paid. You can get the option to get paid in more PAXG tokens. But if you choose to get paid in the Nexo native token, you can get a maximum interest of actually 6%. So that's 6% on technically physical gold, which is pretty cool, because you're not going to get that on the stock market, not on like a GLD, not for sure. I remember the platform that I was going to show you guys today too. It's called uranium.io. So this is one of the new projects that I've been kind of testing, as you could say. It wasn't it's not as, I wouldn't say it's as good or as reliable or trusted as PAX-G, but it comes with that same kind of idea. You're getting access or exposure to the price of uranium. So uranium has outperformed the S&P 500 in the last 5 years. Not as good as Bitcoin, but still not too bad. With this one, though, it's not like Paxos where you can go into their vault in New York, get out some gold. With this one, you're not going to go and get some physical uranium for obvious reasons. That's going to come with some challenges. So you're not going to be able to get physical uranium from this. But it does actually, they do hold uranium in your name. You cannot take this token or this project when you invest in it. You're not able to take this off. It's not decentralized. You still have to remain on the platform, but you connect your wallet to it just like you would with any other site. You can and then put in some USDC. I think they're using Arbitrum, and then you can get actual exposure to uranium through this site. It's called uranium.io. But like I said, still this is a very, very new project. So don't throw everything at it. This is just an interesting way to get a little bit of diversification if you think uranium is going to be an important commodity going forward. Which I do believe. I think, one of my larger holdings, or one of my largest uranium holdings in my stock portfolio, is actually a company called Kazatomprom, which is the largest uranium producer in the world, based out of Kazakhstan, of all places. That is an interesting hold that I do. But my play on that is that Kazakhstan has a decent relationship with China, and China is going to be the largest consumer of uranium going forward. They are building nuclear reactors at a rate that is very impressive, and much larger than the United States or Europe, just because China doesn't have to go through massive regulations when they want to build these things. Going through the regulations in the United States is going to take longer than actually building the power plant, whereas China, they can throw them up quite quickly. So that is kind of my thing. I am a uranium bull, and this is just an interesting way to get some exposure through it in the crypto markets. Can't really. Let me give me a second here, John. What do you think of uranium? Well, I think about the rest of my PowerPoint.
Bro, I don't even know what uranium is. Is that a metal?
the green stuff in The Simpsons.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't even know
it was the fish have 3 eyes.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, that is something that I've just been looking.
I didn't even know that was like
those projects.
I never knew that was like an actual, I guess what you could call it, a commodity. I didn't know that was one. It's really interesting, man. Really, really interesting. I think I think what I will say my opinion on, I think it would have been a lot better if you were actually able to hold the physical token on your ledger, because I think that would definitely make more people feel more comfortable, especially in the space that we're in. Is just like connecting your ledger to something or connecting your wallet to a platform is already kind of sketchy to begin with, but then having funds in there that you can't really like move out, and it just kind of also sucks, So I do think a lot more people will definitely start picking up on that once they do implement the fact that you could go ahead and store those funds into like a ledger. But Russ says hi. Hi, Russ. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you.
How's it going, Russ? Yeah, no, I'm much more of a fan of being able to have it on the ledger. That would be the perfect scenario. But having this money on their site, it's next best thing. But then you have to go through the trusting them and everything, and it would be nicer if it could just be on the ledger. But I think we're going to get to that at some point. It's just when things are as complicated and deadly as, or let's say explosive as things like uranium can be, they're not things that you can go pick up at your local market.
No, yeah, 100%. Do you have any tokens? You said you bought a token. Was that it? Was that the token you
Yeah,
bought?
that was the project I was looking
I
at.
thought
Yeah,
you were gonna get into
unfortunately.
like some pre-sale or something. I was like, that's pretty cool. So I was looking forward to that
Ah,
because I know you shared a
no,
lot of
no.
pre-sale websites lately.
Yeah, that was the token for today. So maybe not as exciting as the pre-sale.
No, it was
Um,
pretty exciting, man.
but
I'm not saying
I'm
it
a uranium guy. I
wasn't.
like uranium. One of the other things I was going to talk about. I can't. Let's see if
Is
I
there
can
like
find the
oil for
article.
crypto? That'd be pretty cool.
Uh, you think there would be? You think they would probably do oil before uranium, right?
Right?
But I guess not. I haven't actually heard of that. That would be something that would be like right up my alley.
That's that'd be interesting. There is one. It's called crude oil Brent. Interesting. I'm gonna look into
Isn't
that.
there a meme coin that you invest in called Brett?
It's called Brent, but yeah, but this one's Brent.
Oh, Brett.
Brent. Brent. What is this? ZDEX exchange oil price. Oh, let me share my screen with you guys. By the way, I'm not endorsing this token. I don't know. I just, out of curiosity, I was like, oh, oil would be a good thing to do. So as you see right here, this is basically this futures of oil price. It's pretty cool. Never heard of this token.
Neither have I. I'll have to take a look at that.
Yeah, overall, let's see all-time high. It's been out for a year, so all-time low just hit 15 days ago. I've been hearing that crude oil has been taking a hit. I actually went ahead and bought a little bit of Gush. I'm not sure if you know that stock, but it's leveraged gas
The
and oil.
ETF.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know it. We have a question from Russ. Wondering if we didn't have Rabby or MetaMask, could we function with only Ledger Live and a hard wallet?
You could, but it's not convenient. Or should I say
Yeah,
it's not like what's the word? What would be the word I'm looking for? Convenient. It's not as what is the
it's not
word?
as plug and play. It's like because you can use that wallet
You
connect
can
thing, but
use your ledger directly. It's just not the same as like Rabby. Like with Rabby, you could go ahead and keep track of all your pools in one place. You could go ahead and get into different multiple blockchains. Supportive is what I was looking for. Not that many platforms support Ledger just on its own. I'm sure a lot of them do, but it's not going to be as user friendly as Rabby or MetaMask. And I wouldn't recommend connecting your Ledger directly to a platform. That's why we have Rabby and MetaMask because it kind of acts like
a window
a
almost.
antivirus, if you want to call it.
Yeah.
It's like an antivirus. Like if Rabby gets compromised, you're okay as long as you have your ledger, basically. But like if you get your ledger compromised directly, you're kind of screwed. Is the word I want to
Your
use.
SOL.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the only real way you can get your ledger complicated is if you post your seed phrase, no?
Yeah, 100%. Also, Russ did say this: is it safe to have Ledger Live on your cell phone? It's safe to have it. I recommend having two phones if you're going to do that. Preferably one that doesn't have like a cellular data to it, like where you could connect it to like an actual line. If you do decide to have it with a line, I have two phones. I would recommend keeping that device separate, not giving that phone number to anyone. Don't put that phone number in anything that you sign up for, applications, any of that. Just keep like a fresh phone that it's only for that. And I basically have that where I have another phone where I don't give that phone number to no one. Probably only my mom has it. And I never use it. It's only solely for crypto related things. And I would say that would be the best way to have it if you're going to have two phones, because you got to keep in mind that SIM swapping is a very common thing in the space where hackers go ahead and get access to your email. They impersonate you, call up T-Mobile, Verizon, pretend it's you, unlock your phone. They would say something like, "I broke my phone. I'm trying to replace it. Can you help me?" They'll go ahead and add a new SIM card to their phone, get access to your 2FA, get access to all your logins, and that's it. You're pretty much done. Now with Ledger Live, though, I do want to say you still, if you have Ledger Live, if you're using it connected via Bluetooth, you still need to have the confirmation via your Ledger. So you still have a lot of security features added into it. But I would recommend keeping both phones separate while you're doing that. It's convenient, but I would say just go the extra mile. It's not really about adding the same phone number or second phone number to the same phone. It's not really about that. It's really more about having a different device, because if you click on an email on that device that you're using on your everyday task, it's more common for you to accidentally click on something or get targeted on your own personal phone, as opposed to opening up a second line if you want to have access to it, or even just get a tablet. You can also just get a tablet that's offline, connect it to your data, or just even get another phone, but just don't connect it to like a phone line. That also works, and just use your own data hotspot when you're trying to get access to it. But it's not so much about having a second phone number. You do not want to have all of that in one device, because you want to minimize the risk of exposure of something happening. You just have to go with the assumption that someone's targeting you 24/7. So there's chances are, like, I get a lot of spam calls, text messages on my personal phone, but I really don't have much on my personal phone.
You only want to monitor it there, Russ.
Yeah, you should be good. Yeah. You should be good if you have Ledger Live on it.
Yeah, I think you'd be okay. I have Ledger Live just on one of my phones because I have the Nano X, so I can Bluetooth. But most of the time, I just use my computer. I'm never very far away from my computer.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm gonna do the same thing too, just because of convenience with the X. If you're traveling and things, it's a lot easier to have in your computer, things like that. It's definitely the convenient factor. But also, I was going to say something else that I completely forgot. It was going to be, the Solana phone. Solana phone's also going to be coming out, so I got to see when that's going to be coming out.
Yeah, and I was just looking at Helium Project last night because I was writing a script for Doc, and it seems that actually lots of people are using the Helium mobile data plan now, which is interesting.
Yeah, dude, there's a lot of people that have been what is the word? That have been turning over to Helium. Like, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when I go on YouTube, I see like all these influencers that are not even crypto related talk about Helium and their plans, and I'm like, damn, man, this is crazy. Like, not even the crypto bros are talking about Helium.
Well, we were, and then we stopped.
Yeah,
there's a little history there.
Yeah, I was gonna start mining it, but then I got in too late when all the the Bobcats were no longer available.
Yeah,
like on back order.
Yeah,
I mean, luckily I didn't get them because I think that was like towards the top of the market.
yeah, you did a good thing in not getting them.
But apparently it was very lucrative, right? You said you were in it. You were an early adopter early on.
Yeah, for a while it was. Let me see if I can share my screen with you guys.
Yeah, go for it.
I got some photos here in my computer. We're open up the photos folder in the computer. You know how that can go. Let's see. I don't think I have anything actually bad on here, but where is it? So here is one of my. This was one of the best performing hotspots on the entire Helium network. I set this up.
We can't see it.
Well, no, yeah, I'm still looking for it.
Oh.
Let's see.
Are you going to be getting the Solana phone, by the way?
I want to. I really want to. I think it would be cool. So you guys can see that. Yeah.
Yep.
So I set this one up on the rooftop of a 7-story hotel,
nice.
About an hour away from Amsterdam, in the Netherlands. So this Helium hotspot here had a 10 dBi antenna, and this thing would shoot across the English Channel. So this hotspot was connecting to other hotspots across the ocean in England. So it's
Wow.
several thousand kilometers away. And if you've ever been to the Netherlands, you know that it's very flat. So this antenna was shooting from one end of Europe to basically the other on both directions. So it also connect the hotspots in like Germany. The Europe isn't as big as Canada and the United States. So it sounds definitely a lot more exciting when, oh, this thing crossed several countries and connected to a hotspot over there, but still very, very impressive. It was one of the best performing ones on
That's
the
really cool,
entire helium
man.
network.
How did you
Yeah.
even get access up there? Did you just climb up? Did you even get permission,
Um,
or did you?
Yeah. So that was back when I had my company, and we cut a profit sharing deal with the company itself. And this was close to the peak helium price. So this hotspot right here was actually pulling in about $70 a day. So we cut them a
Wow.
deal of they took like 20% of the revenue, and then we had the rest of it. It was good until, of course, the price of helium stopped being good. And then they kind of wondered where their money went as they started getting like $3 a day compared to the 15 that they were getting. So I
Is it
think
still up and running?
I think it is still up and running. I'm not involved anymore, so I'm not actually sure. But unless someone from the actual hotel went up there and took this down, it's still up there. I could look on
Yeah,
the actual Helium Explorer to see if it was operating still, but
that's really cool,
that
man.
would take a little
How
bit more
many
time.
miners did you have all across?
I had about 30 in Vancouver, so where I'm from, Vancouver, Canada. But then we had about 500 across the entire EU.
Wow. How much were
Yeah,
you making? I like can you disclose that like roughly? Like not.
yeah. So during near the peak, we were making about 4,000 US dollars a day just in helium mining.
Wow, that is
Yeah,
insane, man.
yeah. But then, of course, not all good things last forever. So it was cool though.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Russ says, "I'm never far from my cell phone doing other things." One reason I ask, I was just wondering the likelihood of Ravi or MetaMask ever disappearing or going down. MetaMask has been out for years. It was like the first wallet, the first hot wallet that really, started to take off. I mean, there's of course other ones like Exodus, which is still around. So wallets have always been around. You really won't have an
Exodus is
issue.
public now. It's on the
Yeah,
Nasdaq.
I forgot about
Yeah.
that. Which is so surprising. It's so random. Like Exodus out of all the wallets. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
How do they make? I mean, I know their fees are pricey, but anyways, yeah. So what I was saying, chances of something happening to those wallets are very low. And if something was to happen to MetaMask, Ravi's around, and if something happens to Ravi, Trust Wallet's going to be around, and if something happens to Trust Wallet, Exodus is going to be around. So even now, like what is it, Phantom, now you can have access to Sui, Base, Ethereum, Bitcoin. So a lot of these wallets are now becoming like a one-stop shop. So there'll be plenty of opportunities to get into a new hot wallet that you need to connect your ledger to. So chances of something like that happening are very slim, I would say. He actually did say about Exodus. He said, "I'm taking everything off my Exodus and moving it to my ledger." Yes, that would be the smartest move, I would say. Because I know at one
That's not
point
bad.
back in the day, probably a few years ago, Exodus definitely had some very clunky things where a lot of their users lost a lot of money because of hacks or something like that. I don't know what happened there, but
Yeah, no, and you shouldn't have, even if in the case, Russ, where Ravi or MetaMask, stopped operating for whatever reason, as long as it's connected to your ledger. So, like, if you've gone through our course, you're familiar with how to connect your ledger to Ravi to MetaMask. As long as it's on your ledger, it's not gone. It's not going anywhere. You still have this exact same access that you had.
yeah.
You could just fire up whatever alternative is out there connected to your ledger, and you'll have the exact same funds that you had in Ravi or
And as
MetaMask.
long as you have your seed phrase too, it will connect to any wallet.
Exactly. All right. Well, John, do you want to end the podcast there?
Yeah, sure. Well, I hope all of you guys are having a good one. Glad that we had this conversation with Tristan here today. I'm just going to keep it very simple. Um, yeah, man, I really hope that all of you go ahead and enjoyed the next coming podcast that we have. We're going to have quite a few coming up next week. Doc always posts on the channel as well, so make sure to go ahead and check out the channel. Smash that like button for us. Most importantly, turn on post notifications. A lot of very positive things are going to be coming up in crypto, so this is your chance. Make sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications. You do not want to miss out. With that being said, guys, I hope all of you have a great weekend. We'll see how the market ends tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday, very volatile time of the week when it comes to the markets. If Friday ends on the red, expect some red coming up over the next week. If we end on the green, expect some very positive momentum coming in towards the end. But with that being said, I hope all of you have a great rest of your day. For all those that are in our private community, we'll catch you guys in our office hours, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care. See you guys next week.
See you guys soon.
Bye.
With the working podcast PowerPoint. Bye, guys.
Right?